Fellow Ghanaians, good morning. There are moments in a nation's life that simply stops time. Moments like these that even humble the most powerful of us. Moments that break our collective spirits. And if that will only be for today. There are such moments like this. And for Ghana, we are not just mourning individuals, but we are mourning the weights of national service lost in one devastating breath. On Wednesday, our dear country lost 8 extraordinary Ghanaians, 5 senior government officials, and 3 gallant members of the Ghana Armed Forces in a very tragic helicopter crash. They were not on some holiday. They were not on some frolic of their own. They were on their way to the Obuasi in the Ashanti region, where some of these matters were happening. They were not in transit for some private business. They were on duty in uniform, under instruction and in service to this republic. They were en route to Obuasi for a national assignment when the military helicopter they were aboard lost contact with its radar and then crashed. The grief is immense for so many, for the family, for the government, for this loss is incalculable. But their legacy must not be forgotten. We remember Dr. Omane Boamah, Ghana's Minister for Defense, a man who had served in multiple capacities in government. He had served as a doctor, a communication minister, and in this role, he brought some calm intellectual depth and strategic foresight to the oversight of our armed forces. In an era of regional insecurity and even local insecurity, Dr. Boamah was a steady hand in this difficult time. He was a patriot who believed in disciplined, modern, and democratic military. His stewardship of the Defense Ministry reflected not just policy, but principle. For those of you who remember him from his days in the NDC when he used to be the Director of Election, you know what he did for his party. We also remember Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, doctor, the newly minted PhD in town, the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. He was a tireless voice for the environment and a passionate, unapologetic servant of the people. Whether on the floor of Parliament or on the streets with his constituents, Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed stood for accountability and justice. That's what I remember him for, justice. In his new role, he had begun laying a foundation for a science-driven development and sustainable policy that was bold, pragmatic, and people-centered. He was perhaps one of the MPs I spoke to the most in Parliament. We also remember Alhaji Muniru Mohammed, the acting Deputy National Security Coordinator, a former Minister for Agric and a man deeply familiar with the machinery of the state and the needs of ordinary citizens. He was known as a bridge builder, a quiet problem solver, and a team player. His work often went unseen, but his impact was felt in every corner of Ghana's national security architecture. We also remember Samuel Abuaje, the Deputy NADMO Coordinator and former NDC parliamentary candidate for Obuasi East, a man who had given his life to politics, public safety and service delivery, from disaster response to grassroots mobilization. Samuel Abuaje was always on the ground where it mattered most. His passing is a huge loss to the people of Obuasi and to Ghana's national response systems. And you recall, he was part of those whose elections were caught in limbo with all the court cases going up and down when, after the 2024 election, the NDC said they had won some seats and they were going to court. I remember exchanging some text with him whilst he tried to fight his case in court. He later became NADMO National Deputy Coordinator while waiting for the court to vindicate his right or not, and now he's gone. We also remember Samuel Sapon, a National Vice Chairman of the NDC and a former Ashanti Regional Minister. He's said to be a seasoned politician, a statesman, and a man with deep ties across the political divide. Samuel Sapon embodied the idea that politics, at its best, is about people, not power. His presence, especially in the Ashanti region, was a symbol of balance, of dialogue, and continuity. And we also remember the 3 brave members of the Ghana Armed Forces who gave their lives in line of duty. Squadron Leader Peter Bafemi Anala, Flying Officer Mani Chum Ampedu, and Sergeant Ernest Adomensa. They were pilots and crew, but above all, they were soldiers. Disciplined, loyal, courageous. It is hard to imagine the final moments in that cockpit, but they know this. They gave their lives doing what soldiers are trained to do, to carry others safely through danger. Fellow Ghanaians, this strategy is not just about positions that these men held. It is about the lives they touched, the sacrifices they made, and the duty they died fulfilling. This was not just a helicopter crash. This was a national rupture. The kind of loss that sends a chill through every government office, every military barracks, and every community, every heart that still believes in public service. But for now, we mourn. We mourn as one people across party lines, across class divides, across religious traditions. Because what we just lost is not just partisan, it is Ghanaian. These were men, these were fathers, these were brothers, these were husbands, mentors, leaders, and citizens. They gave their lives under the flag that matters. So let this be a moment of national reminder that service to Ghana is not just politics, it is sacrifice. And that those who step into the realm of duty do so at great personal cost, often unseen, often underappreciated, until it is too late. To the families, we say, your grief is our grief. To the Ghana Armed Forces, your loss is this nation's loss. And to the Republic, to all of us, may this sorrow lead us not to despair, but to deeper unity and renewed commitment to the values that these men represented: discipline, integrity, and service. May their souls rest in perfect peace, and may this country, may Ghana, never forget. Good morning, fellow Ghanaians, and I hope we can all do this together.